Story time about why you just can't bring some friends around your boyfriend. So a little background information, I was 17 and a junior in high school. And I have been best friends with this one girl who we're going to call Lily for about 2 years. Now, Lily and I weren't your ordinary best friends. We were the ones that would party together, but we would never talk about anything serious. And when I mean serious things, I mean like a secret that you don't want anybody to know. Just for a little example, the one time I told her that I thought I was pregnant, and clearly she knew that I was super scared, and I told her I don't want anybody to know, please don't say anything. In about 30 minutes, I had like 20 people asking me if I was pregnant, and then somehow my parents found out. She's also the best friend that you keep away from any guy that you like. Well, I have been dating this guy who we're going to call Jared for 6 months. And obviously, now that I have a boyfriend, I've stopped hanging out with her as much. But my whole thing is she would never give me a heads up on plans. She would literally just text me and be like, hey, we're going out tonight. And I would text her back and I would be like, sorry, I can't. I already have plans with Jared. So this made her really upset, like for part 2. Part 2 about why you just can't bring some of your friends around your boyfriend. So like I said, she was getting very upset with the fact that she would ask me to make plans last minute and I would tell her that I'm busy with my boyfriend. And this went on throughout Jared and I's whole relationship. And it wasn't like I would ignore her. I would still hang out with her. I just wouldn't go and party and stuff like that because I respected my relationship. She would also always ask me to not bring my boyfriend to these parties, and that's another reason why I wouldn't go. So the one night she's like, listen, come out with me. You can bring your boyfriend. It won't be a problem, which was a shocker. So I was a little bit skeptical, but I said, okay. So we go to this party, and usually whenever I'm with Lily, I get really messed up, but I was trying to pace myself this night. And then she's like, come on, you don't mind if she gets drunk, right, Jared? Of course, him wanting me to have fun. He said no, he doesn't mind. She calls us an Uber, and then she asked for my boyfriend's Snapchat just so that way she could check up on us because I was too drunk. The entire ride home, Lily is blowing up Jared's phone, and we just think that she's trying to check on us. No. Instead, when we got home, he opened his phone, and it was actually Lily sending him a bunch of naked pictures. Storytime about how my ex-boyfriend stole all my shit and then gave it to his new girlfriend. So a little background information, I was 23 and I had been dating this guy who we're going to call Derek for 2 years. Now, at first I thought that our relationship was perfect. Of course, you guys know how it goes. But then the one day he came home from work and he told me that he had been cheating on me throughout our whole relationship. He literally had a full-on relationship the past 2 years that him and I were supposed to be together with another girl. But yeah, he came home from work and he told me, listen, I don't want to be with you. I really love her. It's just not working out. So obviously I go and I find her social media and I tell her, and she just blocks me. She literally just blocks me. And then he told me that she knew that he was also dating me at the same time. So whatever, fast forward, he moves out, he moves in with her, and he is slowly moving his stuff out of my apartment. Like, it literally took him 4 months to get all of his stuff out of my apartment. Anyway, so the one day he calls me while I'm at work, and he's like, hey, can I come get the keys? I need to get some of my stuff. So obviously this had been going on the past 4 months, so I was like, yeah, just come pick the keys up. So he does, like for part 2.
Story time about how my best friend walks around naked in front of my boyfriend. Disclaimer is not my story time, it's sending me on Instagram. That's when she came out of the bathroom in her bra and a pair of shorts. Mind you, we have a bunch of our friends over having dinner at my place. I get up from the table and I ask her what's up. That's when she says that it's way too hot in my apartment and that I needed to turn down the temperature. I told her I'd give her a t-shirt if she wanted to, and she said no. I'm comfortable in my body and I don't care if people look at me. When I look around, I see everyone staring at her. Obviously, all the guys are like oogling her goodies, but all the girls that are there with their guys are instantly upset. That's when my boyfriend bursts out laughing and says, what's wrong with her? She just starts laughing maniacally at what my boyfriend said. Then she goes and sits down next to my boyfriend and starts joking with him. You might be thinking I'm so stupid for this, but I decided to let it go. Oh yeah, she's also the type of person that never wants to go home. That's when I had to be honest with her and I told her that she was making everyone uncomfortable. And I asked her to leave, which she did. A few days later, she comes over to my place so that we can get ready to go out. My boyfriend was going to go out with his friends and I was going to go out with her. 2 seconds after she comes into my apartment, she walks out of the bathroom completely naked. And my boyfriend's just sitting there on the couch watching her. Part 3 is up. Story time about how my best friend walks around naked in front of my boyfriend. Disclaimer's not my story time, it's sending me on Instagram. That's when she comes out completely naked. You could see everything. Boobs, butt, and V. And my boyfriend is sitting on the couch. As she comes out of the bathroom, his jaw drops to the floor. Then she says to me, oh my god, I couldn't find a towel, sorry. She walks straight into the guest bedroom where she has her clothes. My boyfriend and I look at each other and I'm completely disgusted. He, on the other hand, thought it was hilarious, so he starts laughing. Then she comes out of the guest bedroom in panties and a bra. I mean, I guess at least she wasn't naked this time. That's when I tell her, do you need help getting dressed or something? She says, oh no girl, I'm just thirsty. I'm gonna get something to drink. So I said to her, I'll get you something to drink. You can go get dressed. At this point, I had it. But guess what? This wasn't the last time. A few weeks later, I wanted to go to her place to get ready this time. But then she insisted on coming over to mine instead. That's when I got the feeling that she had done all of that to get my boyfriend's attention. And I straight up told her, are you just walking around naked at my place just because you want my boyfriend to see you? Of course she denied it. She says he's cute, but he's not that cute. What? Part 4 is up. Story time about how my best friend friend walks around naked in front of my boyfriend. Disclaimer is not my story time, it's not on Instagram. At this point, she had been naked in front of my boyfriend twice, but it wasn't the last time. She came over to pick me up one time and I told her to wait for me downstairs. Well, instead of waiting for me downstairs, she decided to come up to my apartment. While I was in the bedroom changing, my boyfriend let her in. That's when she comes straight into my bedroom without even knocking and says, "Hey girl, do you have a dress I can wear?" The dress she was wearing was absolutely perfect. I asked her why and she said that she didn't feel sexy enough. Without even me saying yes, she started raiding my closet. Then she pulls out a very expensive dress I had not even put on yet. My boyfriend was standing in the doorway just watching the whole thing go down. I look at my boyfriend and he just rolls his eyes at me. Then out of nowhere, she takes off her dress and she's completely naked underneath. She looks at my boyfriend and says, "Oh, sorry, I didn't see there." My boyfriend turned around and walked away. I finally closed the door and confronted her about it. She told me that I'm a prude and that I needed to relax. I kicked her out and we haven't spoken since. She's been begging to talk to me and hang out. My boyfriend told me that if I felt uncomfortable around her, then for her not to come over. But he says that he's fine with her. His reaction also upset me too. What should I do?
Story time about how I got my ex toxic best friend jumped. So a little background information, I was 16 and a sophomore in high school. And like any of these toxic best friend story times, she was super jealous of me for literally no reason. She would literally try to be better than me in everything. Like when I did a sport or a club, she would join immediately right after. And it wasn't oh, I'm going to join my best friend. No, it was, I'm going to join so that way I can show her that I'm better than her. For example, in 6th grade, I was captain on the volleyball team, and she decided that she was going to try out her sophomore year. She played it off as if she just wanted to try it out, but then I got announced captain, and she was pissed off when she heard that. She literally blocked me on everything, and she came from a super wealthy family, so she was used to getting whatever she wanted. And my whole friend group would literally tell me, "You need to stop being friends with her. She's toxic. She's this, she's that." The only thing that stopped me from being friends with her was the blackmail. Like for part 2 about how I got my toxic ex-best friend jumped. So like I said, the only thing that was stopping me from not being her friend was the blackmail that she had. Every time that I pissed her off, or even just randomly, she would be like, "Oh, I'm going to send this out. I'm going to expose you." She was just overall a shitty friend. So I had an exposing account on Instagram where I would expose people in my class. It got banned, but she DM'd the account the blackmail. Little did she know it was literally me who was running it. Obviously, I didn't post it, but I showed one of my friends, and we kind of made a plan to get rid of the blackmail. So my birthday was coming up, and I was going to Disney, and my mom said that I could invite 2 friends. Originally, I wasn't going to invite Tessa, but since I had this plan, I invited her and one of my other friends. On the 3rd night, my friend and I decided to take our plan into action. Tessa was sleeping, so I went on her phone, and I went and deleted all the pictures. Like for part 3. Part 3 about how I got my toxic ex-best friend jumped. So like I said, on the 3rd night, she was sleeping, so we went on her phone. I deleted all of the blackmail that she had on me, and I even went a step further and screenshotted all of the nudes that she was sending back and forth with older guys, and these guys were way older than her, like way older. And I sent them to myself and deleted the text off of her phone. Fast forward, we drop her off at her house. I stay over my friend's house and we decide that we're going to post everything to my exposing page. And we also came up with a really good idea. Why not send this to Tessa's parents? So we sent them to her parents. And guys, when I tell you this exposing page had so many people on it, it really did. Somebody was like, "OMG, like please send a face reveal, like I won't tell anybody." So what did I do? I sent a picture of Tessa, and that person posted it to their Snapchat story. Fast forward to the first day of school. We're outside for gym class, and 3 girls beat her.
Story time about how my boyfriend faked his own death so that he wouldn't have to break up with me. His mom called me to tell me that he was dead. Disclaimers is not my story time, I said I'm on Instagram. My boyfriend and I had been dating for 3 years. Our relationship was really only based on attraction, I have to admit. But the last year we started getting a little bit more serious, and that's when we started talking about marriage. By the way, he was the one that brought up marriage. He asked me if I could see myself getting married to him, and I said yes. Now here's the thing. I am way out of his league. Like way out of his league. I'm a 10, he's probably like a 6. Here's my theory. If you date a guy that's not as good looking as you, he probably won't cheat on you and will consider himself lucky to be with you. So that was my reason for being in a relationship with him. He made me feel safe and I knew that he probably wouldn't cheat on me, and he felt lucky to be with me because I'm really hot. Eventually he asked me to move in and I said yes. But after a few weeks, he started acting really strange. He constantly complained about having headaches, and for some reason would always have his mom over at our place. Part 2 is up. Story time about how my boyfriend faked his own death so that he wouldn't have to break up with me and got his mom to tell me that he was dead. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. I was sent to me on Instagram. After she told me on the phone that my boyfriend was dead, I had no choice but to believe her. I was so sad and depressed, sitting in the apartment that I share with my dead boyfriend. I called my parents and told them I was coming home. I spent the next 4 days with my parents and eventually went back to my apartment. My plan was to get all of his stuff and give it to his mom. I show up to her house with the boxes and knock on the door. She opens the door with a huge smile on her face, and as soon as she realizes it's me, she stopped smiling. I asked her if she was okay, and she said that everything was fine. She asked me what I wanted in a really rude tone, and I said, I'm just bringing some of your son's stuff. She asked me to leave it outside and then close the door. I knocked on the door again, and she did not open the door. A few days later, I go to the mall, and guess who I see walking around? My dead boyfriend? I run up to him and ask him what happened. That's when he confessed that he just didn't know how to break up with me, and he thought that the best way to do it was just to pretend that he was dead. And he also confessed that he met someone. Here I'm thinking I'm way too hot for him to cheat on me. Yeah, right. It's been a few months now and he's hitting me up again because he broke up with the other girl. Should I take him back?
Story time about how I was dating the school shooter. Yeah. So a little background information. I was a sophomore whenever this all happened, and it was around October. Well, the one day I was sitting at lunch with my group of friends. We're all sitting there having a good time when one of my friends dares me to go over and sit with this one kid. And he was sitting alone. He was kind of shy. And of course I did because they had offered me $10, guys. Can't beat that. So I go over there, we start talking, and I realize that he's actually really nice. And he's really hot. I never really saw what he looked like because he was always wearing hoodies during school. Anyways, we started hanging out more, and eventually he said that he liked me and we started dating. The relationship seemed pretty perfect. Well, 6 months in, I think he started to trust me more, because he had told me about this one group of girls that he absolutely hated. This group of girls just happened to be my friends. I didn't tell him that I was friends with these girls because they were considered controversial. Like for part 2. Part 2 about how I was dating the school shooter. Like I said, I had never told him that I was friends with these girls because they were controversial, but he would go on for hours about how much he hated these girls. He went as far to say that he wanted to kill them. I didn't think anything of it at first, because him and I had more of a sarcastic sense of humor, but he started to sound more and more serious every time that he would talk about it. Well, after us dating for 10 months, he calls me the one night, and he starts telling me about how he's going to shoot up the school. He had told me his entire plan of how he was going to do this. Now, he must have thought that we were like ride or die relationship, when in reality, I was recording everything that he was saying. After we got off the phone, I wrote an email to all of the office staff in my school, but I fell asleep and never finished the email. I woke up the next morning, finished it. I had texted my friends not to go to school that day. I had already missed the bus. I rode my bike to school that day. I ran to the principal's office, nobody was there, and that's whenever I heard shots in the hallway.
I got drunk at my wedding and made out with the best man. Girl, what? Welcome to the confessional. Send in your story times and I'm gonna read them on here. My husband and I got married 2 months ago. Girl, 2 months? My husband's family is Christian and they are very strict. My mother-in-law chose my wedding dress. During the planning of the wedding, my husband had his best friend with him at all times. And during that time, I caught his best friend staring at me several times. Every time we caught each other's eye, we would just stare at each other for a few seconds and then look away. The night of our rehearsal dinner, he came up to me and asked me if I was stressed. I responded by saying yes. Then he offered me a drink. My husband doesn't really like me drinking, so we went to the bathroom and took shots together. It was actually really fun and exciting, and we both hit it off that night. If you're wondering if I felt guilty, no, I did not. We ended up drinking 3 shots each, and he almost kissed me. At least I got the feeling. Too much blush? The attraction between us was palpable, and when I looked down, his... Oh my god! His thing-a-ling was hard. Our wedding was the next night, and I couldn't stop thinking about his best friend. As I was getting ready for the wedding, he came and knocked on my door while the makeup artist was doing my makeup. Oh my gosh. And said that I looked so beautiful, he couldn't believe it. That's when the makeup artist asked him to leave and said, the groom can't be in here. That's when I said, that's not the groom. That's my husband's best friend. Oh, damn. The ceremony goes off without a hitch and we go to the reception. This is where it gets juicy. My fiance and I had practiced a dance for us to do for the guest, but he refused at the last minute. I instantly get upset at my fiance, walk straight up to his best friend and ask him if he wants to dance. We get up, start dancing, and instantly my husband gets up to dance with his cousin? Ew. Ew, what? Why is he trying to dance with his cousin and not his new wife? That's when all the guests jump up and join us on the dance floor. After 30 minutes of dancing, he takes me by the hand. the best friend, takes me by the hand and walks me outside. Suddenly we're alone and he kisses me. The butterflies in my stomach went crazy and we couldn't stop making out. Luckily, nobody saw us. We went back to the party and pretended like nothing happened. Oh girl, something did happen. After spending 2 weeks in Greece with my husband for our honeymoon, I was completely unhappy. A little background, we had only known each other for a year before we got married. We had never even traveled together at that point and he was being an absolute nightmare. After we got back, I decided to hook up with his best friend and we did it. We've been having an affair ever since then. I asked my husband for a divorce, but he won't give it to me because of a visa issue. What should I do? In my professional opinion as a story timer here on TikTok, I would say be honest with your husband. Say to him that you don't want to be with him. Go be happy with a bestie. Travel with him before you get married. Everyone leave your advice in the comments. I love you guys. Bye. My boyfriend is threatening to break up with me if I don't agree to a threesome? Welcome to The Confessional, a series where you guys send me your story times on here and I tell them on TikTok so you can get advice. My boyfriend and I have been together for 2 years. When we first met, we were so compatible in every single way possible. Not so much, babe. He started a new job and he's been cold and distant, so I figured it was just the stress. As we were about to start having, you know what, doing the dirty, he asked me if I've ever had a threesome, which he definitely knows I have not. So him asking me was an excuse to even bring it up. Duh. I said, of course not. And he said, would you ever want to? I quickly said, no, I would never want to have a threesome. I don't want to share you. That's when he rolled his eyes and said that he wasn't in the mood anymore. I told him he was being selfish since he was the one that had initiated and that he should at least help me finish. Then he said, not until you consider having a threesome. Girl, manipulation 101. He did not speak to me for the next 3 days. I finally asked him what was wrong. He said that he really wanted to have a threesome before we got married. That's when I asked him who he wanted to have the threesome with, and he said, a girl from my job. We all saw this coming, right? I instantly started to cry because I had a feeling that he had met somebody at work. Then he said he wouldn't talk to me until I stopped crying and behaved like a grown woman.
Well, that's rich, coming from a grown-ass man who just gave you the silent treatment for 3 days.
He then pulls out his phone and shows me a picture of her. Oh my God. Then he said, look at her in a bikini. She's got such a great body. This is especially cruel since he knows that I've been trying to lose weight for the past 1.5 years, and it's been really hard because of my thyroid. That's when I took his phone away and started checking his messages. He freaked out. Of course he did, because he's probably texting her. They followed each other on Snapchat, so I couldn't see what they were sending each other. When I checked his Instagram DMs, their messages were pretty innocent. What if he deleted the messages before he showed you her pictures knowing you might do that? You can't assume that the messages were innocent, babe. Sorry. When I came out of the bathroom, he called me a crazy bitch, which was the first time he'd ever called me any name. That's when he told me that he should have just cheated behind my back instead of offering to have a threesome as a courtesy to me. At this point, we were moving together, but he asked me to move my things out after 2 days. He said he wasn't ready to commit to somebody who's not open to having fun and doing new things. That's coercion. He can't force you to have sex with somebody. In an effort to stop him from moving me out, I said yes to the threesome. He got so excited, he texted her immediately and said it's on. 2 days later, he asked me to go get waxed. Waxed? The night of the threesome arrived and she came over in a red dress. As soon as she saw my boyfriend, she jumped into his arms and they started making out. Went into the bedroom and immediately they started ripping each other's clothes off. It's like I wasn't even there. That's when she grabbed my hand and pulled me onto the bed and started getting me naked too. My boyfriend came over to me on the bed and started kissing me, but that's when I got up and I couldn't do it. I said, you guys go ahead, I'll leave. My boyfriend got so mad, he kicked me out. 2 days later, I get a message from the girl asking me to go on a date. What? During the date, she apologized for my boyfriend's behavior and said that she didn't realize he was coercing me into doing it. Then she said she was actually more attracted to me than my boyfriend because she's more into girls. Oh my God. That's when she leaned over and tried to kiss me, but I pulled away. I told her I was in love with my boyfriend, that I was not interested in her like that. That's when she broke my heart and told me that he was flirting with all the girls at her job, not just her. And that he had already approached one of the other girls at their job to have a threesome, but hadn't told me yet. Should I accept this or should I just move on? I definitely think you need to move on. Someone who loves you is never going to try to coerce you into having relations with somebody else. Do you realize how wrong that is? What do you guys think? Drop your advice in the comments. I love you guys. Bye. I f***ed my personal trainer while my husband was home. Oh my god. Welcome to The Confessional, a series where you guys send me your story times through here and I tell them here on TikTok so that you guys can get some genuine advice. From the day I met my husband, he would fat shame me. What is he, an Adonis? Made out of muscles? He's always complained about how I have a soft body and wants me to have abs like all those Insta models. I'm not the type to keep my mouth shut, so I told him to get me a personal trainer. We've been married 6 years now, and I've never bothered to go to the gym, not even one day. He likes going to the gym religiously and is in really good shape. So what? That doesn't mean that he gets to fat shame you, ever. I was actually joking about the personal trainer, but he actually agreed to it. He told me that he could only get me a male trainer, but he thought it was okay because he was a very good trainer. Never did I expect that this guy would turn my life around in the best way possible. Yes! By the way, I'm not even looking into a mirror right now. I'm reading off my cell phone. The trainer came over the next day and I was embarrassed to see how hot and attractive he was. We sat down and spoke for about 20 minutes and he asked me all about my goals. I know I must sound stupid. No, you don't. But getting the attention from such a hot guy made me feel seen again. Babe, that's because your husband doesn't make you feel seen. Now, here's the thing. I felt like he was attracted to me too. He kept staring into my eyes and would smile all the time. I was trying not to misinterpret things since he is so attractive and he probably smiles at all his clients, which he probably does. But then he started putting his hands around my waist, my shoulders, and my arms. I know the difference between a man's touch and a trainer's touch. Oh my god. This was a man's touch. We were working out in the backyard and that's when my husband came over and said he was leaving to run some errands. We finished the workout session and I was super sweaty. It was amazing. This man proceeded to stay with me for the next hour and a half talking about my goals once again. Wait, that's so sweet. 2 days later, he came over for our second session and that's when shit went down. In preparation for our second session, I drove myself to Lululemon and bought the tightest leggings I could find. I would do the same. I even bought the matching sports bra and wore a two-piece set for the first time ever. Girl, you go. Luckily, my husband had already left to the gym, so we were all by ourselves. As soon as my trainer came in through the door, he complimented me and told me that I looked amazing. A few minutes into the workout, I couldn't help myself any longer and I asked him if he was attracted to me. Damn! He answered yes right away and we both started blushing and laughing at the same time. Now that I managed to break the ice, I would leave him to make the next move. And he did. He stood behind me while I was doing some squats and I felt it. God. Girl, I want to live vicariously through you so bad. I turned around and we started making out passionately. As we were kissing, his hands started moving elsewhere, north and south. My knees were trembling. Yeah. My husband is not the most affectionate guy, so I was in much need of some loving. When we stopped kissing, we started laughing again at what we had just done. 2 minutes later, I hear my husband coming home. We quickly separated, but the next day it went further. This time my husband stayed home and we couldn't keep our hands off each other. My husband tends to lock himself in his office when he's looking at corn. And as soon as my trainer came over, he locked himself in his office, which means you know what. I knew it was our chance, so I grabbed his hand and took him to the back house. He pulled my pants down and he went at it. Then I pulled down his pants and I went at it. And then we did the dirty. As soon as we finished, we went outside and pretended like we were just done working out, which you could believe because we were both sweaty AF. It's been 2 months since I've been working out with my trainer and it's going amazing. I've managed to lose 10 pounds. I look amazing and I feel even better because every time he comes over, we end up doing it. My husband, on the other hand, has no clue and I don't care. He still continues to fat shame me, by the way, and he continues to show me pictures of girls on Instagram who he wishes I would look like. I'm pretty sure he's having an affair with his assistant. At this point, I don't care. I'm hiring a divorce lawyer and I'm getting half of everything. As you should. Should I feel guilty? I don't think he should find out that you're cheating because then you can't get half of everything. Maybe I'm totally wrong. Tell your husband about the trainer after you get a divorce. I mean, I'm sure he's gonna find out anyway. Go live your best life, get in shape, do the dirty, do whatever you want to do with this man, but be careful with your husband. Love you guys. Bye.
Storytime about the boy across the street who used to stalk me. So a little background information. My parents and I moved into a new house that was literally 5 minutes from where I used to live. But I went to private school, and almost all the other kids in my town went to the public school. So I didn't really know a lot of the kids in my town. Well, a week after we moved in, our neighbors across the street invited us to a barbecue. While we were there, I started talking to our neighbor's older son, and him and I started to get along really well. Like, in a flirty way. Their older son was a senior, I was a sophomore, and their younger son was a freshman. Well, I kind of talked to the younger son, but he was just like giving me really weird vibes. So for the next few weeks, I started hanging out with their older son a lot and we would talk all the time. Well, the one day whenever I went over their house, it was super weird. His younger brother kept saying, "Oh, I think I know you from somewhere. Like, I swear I know you." And I'm just like, okay. Well, the one morning I was waiting outside for my mom to pick me up because she worked night shifts and she would just grab me and then take me to my school. And I saw him in his window watching me like for part 2. Part 2 about the boy across the street who used to stalk me. So like I said, I saw him watching me outside his window, but I didn't want to overthink it, so I was just like, no, maybe he's looking at something else. Well, this all started a month after I moved in. Well, it started happening more frequently, so then I told his older brother. We're just gonna call the younger brother Mac. So he talked to Mac and then everything was fine for a week. Just a little information real quick. For the public school, the bus would arrive at 7:40. My private school started at 7 o'clock. So my mom would come and get me at 6:15 because my school was kind of far away. So like I said, it was a week later. Every morning that I would go outside to wait for my mom, Mac would be standing on his porch watching me. Oh, but it gets worse. So one night I was in my bedroom, right? And this is like some scary movie shit. I kept seeing something run past my window. My bedroom was on the first floor. So I told my dad about it and he put cameras outside. Well, Mac's older brother told me that Mac was always interested in my life. So me being a smart ass bitch, I told his older brother that our cameras didn't work, like for part 3. Part 3 about the boy that lived across the street who used to stalk me. So like I said, I told his older brother that our cameras didn't work anymore, knowing that he would tell Mac. Because he had it in his head for some reason that Mac wasn't obsessed with me. And the reason why I told him our cameras didn't work was because Mac was watching while the cameras were being set up outside. And after that, everything stopped. Except he would still be outside every single morning on his fucking porch watching me. So the one night while I'm sleeping, I wake up to some noise right outside my window. And my bed was on the same wall as the window, so I could see who was right outside my window, but they couldn't see me. Well, I look, and guess who the fuck it is? It's Mac trying to get inside of my fucking window. So I quietly call my dad, and it's like 3 in the morning. So I tell my dad what's going on. So he goes outside and nobody's there. Well, the next day we check the cameras. There's footage of him jerking off outside my window, trying to break into my room with a fucking crowbar. Luckily, I was staying at a friend's that night. Taking pictures of me outside my window. So we showed his parents. Then we moved and they sent him to a mental hospital. Story time about the girl who found out that I was hooking up with her boyfriend for 3 months straight. So a little background information. I was in high school, and there was this boy that I really liked. And I had a crush on him since I was in like 7th grade. And the only time he would talk to me is whenever he wanted me to send him nudes. Well, in high school, he got a girlfriend. But while he was dating her, he would still ask me for nudes. And of course, I would still send them. Well, the summer before my junior year, I got a job at this restaurant. Well, almost every single day, the guy that I liked would bring his girlfriend in. Because guess what? His dad owned the restaurant. We're gonna call this boy Alex. Well, the one night I was supposed to close with this girl, but she ended up having to leave because of a family thing. So Alex came in to help me close. And while we were there, we were talking. And this was like the longest that we ever talked. Well, he said, do you want to come over to my house after we're done? So a bitch said yes. And we did the nasty and he took me home in the morning. Well, then he started coming in often to help me close. Well, 3 months later, as I'm closing, his girlfriend and her friends walk in like for part 2. Part 2 about the girl who found out that I was hooking up with her boyfriend for 3 months straight. So like I said, the one night nobody could come in to help me close. And while I'm wiping off the counter, the girl and 3 of her friends walk in. I thought that she might have just forgot something because she was here earlier with her boyfriend, aka the guy that I was hooking up with. So I was super nice. I was like, hey, like, what do you need? And literally, as soon as I finish my sentence, one of her friends comes up behind me and grabs me by my ponytail. And then his girlfriend, we're gonna call her Allie, she comes up and punches me straight in the middle of the mouth. Like literally right in the middle of the mouth. I had to go to the dentist the next day because 2 of my teeth were missing. So then she goes and sits down at a table while she takes a video of 3 of her best friends beating the shit out of me. So then I'm sitting there, I could barely move. And then she plugs in one of those things that like guys shave their head with. And as soon as she figured out how to work the damn thing, it literally took her 10 minutes. My mom walks in because she had been waiting outside for 25 minutes at this point. So my mom called the cops and I pretty much won. My head wasn't shaved. I got a new set of teeth the next day and her boyfriend still hits me up.
Story time about how my crazy celeb ex made me take a lie detector test. This is my own story time. Like I said in part 4, he thought that the only reason I was working at that hookah lounge was because I was trying to be a hoe. He thought that I was trying to get rich men, was completely paranoid about me stealing money from him. A few days before that, he had slapped me for the first time. Do you know why he slapped me? Because we were arguing and I put a plastic bottle down hard at the table. He thought that was unacceptable, so he decided to slap me. A few days after that, grabbed me by my neck and threw me on the bed. The reason he did that is because I asked him never to touch me like that again. At the time, I never realized that people that are on substances are unreasonable. You can't tell someone who's on substances not to do something. They will want to do it more. He was already aggressive because of it. Because he thought that I was lying, stealing, cheating, hoeing around, he asked me to take a lie detector test. And of course I said yes because I wanted to prove to him that he was wrong. Follow story time about how my abusive celebrity ex made me take a lie detector test. This is my own story. He asked me to do the lie detector test and I said yes. He makes the appointment and we show up. Let's call the lie detector man Tom. Tom looked me up and down and told my ex that I was the most beautiful thing he'd ever seen. This right away makes my ex crazy jealous. He just stares the guy down. Then he stares at me. Like I'm the one that did something wrong. The guy straps me up to the machine and I'm already nervous. My heart would not stop racing. He asked me if my name was really Esther. Very basic stuff. Then he asked me about all the things my ex has accused me of. You guys, my ex thought that I was lying about my name. He thought that I was sleeping around, was stealing his money, that I was stealing his substances. After the test, he tells my ex that I had failed every single question and that I was a liar and that he needed to be careful. My ex grabs me and tells me that he's gonna take me home. I was terrified. Part 6 is story time about how my abusive celebrity ex made me take a lie detector test. This is my story time. Once the guy tells my ex that I failed the polygraph test, which there should have been no reason for me to fail. I was being completely honest. My ex's face just turns red. He tells me to get in his car and he's gonna take me home. It was complete verbal abuse. He was calling me a dump truck, slut, a whore. Every single bad word you can think of, he was calling me. Get to my apartment and I literally run out of his car. I lock myself in my apartment and 2 hours later I see him peeking through my window. And because I'm an idiot, I open the door. He starts to cry and tells me that he's willing to forgive me for all the things that I lied about. Obviously, I couldn't convince him otherwise because I failed the polygraph. Come to find out 2 weeks later, the polygraph guy was a complete fraud. The test wasn't even real. But somehow my ex managed to get scammed. And of course, my ex didn't believe it though. He still thought that I was even lying about my name. 2 weeks later, he proposes to me in the bathroom while we're showering. I'm gonna have to do another part